I was 49 when my workouts stopped working. 5 days a week of hard, sweaty, burning calories, feeling the burn workouts that had kept my body fit, firm, and feeling great for decades suddenly left me looking blobby, soft, and feeling depleted. If you're experiencing this too, this episode is for you. I'm going to walk you through what's going on in your midlife body that causes this shift and how I changed my workouts to come out stronger, firmer, and fitter than I have ever been. And spoiler alert, the answer isn't exercising more and eating less. I am a former Division I athlete from Dartmouth College, played lacrosse. I was in BodyPump class 3 days a week because I knew that I needed to do something to keep up my muscles. And then I was doing dance classes, boot camp, booty, core, sometimes a couple of them in a row. It was the year that I turned 49. And I remember so well that I saw a picture of myself in a bikini and I didn't recognize myself. I all of a sudden was looking like this blobby, middle-aged, heading downhill kind of person. And, I was divorced. Got divorced 10 years ago. It's my 10-year anniversary this year of getting divorced. But anyway, so I was divorced on the dating scene and I was feeling amazing, amazing inside. I really had come to terms with my divorce, come to terms with my perimenopause, feeling amazing inside. And then my outside was just betraying me. And I was like, I want my body back. I am not ready for everything to just kind of fall apart and for me to look like crap on the outside when on the inside I'm feeling like I've been reborn, right? And I knew that the key was I wanted to get my muscle back. I had always liked having that toned look, seeing the muscle definition in my arms, my shoulders. That is what I wanted back. And I knew that building muscle was going to be the key. So I was like, how do I do that? So first of all, what had happened in my body? So let's take a step back. So in midlife, our hormone levels change. Our estrogen starts to kind of go haywire and then it leaves the building. And estrogen has been doing things like defining where fat is stored on our bodies. And when it goes, our fat starts to come to our middle. That's why we're getting more visceral fat. In other words, that stuff between our organs in the center, and also some more fat around our waist, which is that beautiful muffin top that we all love so much. And I talked about that a couple of episodes ago, and you can go check it out. The link is in the show notes. So that is causing that. Why am I all of a sudden chubby in the middle when I never was chubby in the middle? Well, okay, I always had a little bit of trouble with the chubby in the middle, but it was like 10 times worse than it ever was. And then the second thing that's been going on here is that our muscle mass has been in decline for a long time. Ever since we were 30, our muscle mass starts to decline if we are not actually systematically challenging our muscles. And really, the way to challenge your muscles is strength training. So if you haven't been doing some systematic, progressively overloading, consistent strength training, then you have not been taking care of your muscles. So I've been doing all these body pump classes, and yes, they're great for muscular endurance. And for sure, I was stronger than if I had been sitting on a couch and not doing them. But I had been slowly losing muscle mass over time. And now that I had less muscle overall on my body and my fat had increased, especially around my waist, then I really started to look blobby and not toned and not the way that I was used to looking. And then there are aspects of midlife that start to come into play that can really make this even a little bit worse because I don't know about you, but for me, sleep, huge issues in midlife, getting sleep. And if you're not sleeping enough, then everything kind of suffers for that, right? Your hunger and satiety cues go out of whack. So you're eating a little bit more than you should. You're not feeling full, even though you've eaten enough. You don't have much energy. Also, when your estrogen walks out of the building, then your baseline cortisol levels rise. So what that means basically is that estrogen's been there as a little bit of a damper on your cortisol levels all the time. And now that it's gone, your cortisol levels can rise. So you need to just start managing your stress better. I don't want to be all like woo-woo about cortisol, right? But it is something to keep in mind. And that's why things like doing a little meditation, doing some mindfulness stuff, cuddling with your cat, cuddling with your boyfriend or husband, hugging your kid, all those things that calm your nervous system are important to do. So there are a lot of things going on in midlife that are kind of exacerbating this effect of loss of muscle and the increase in belly fat in particular. And of course, most of us haven't adjusted our eating habits. We're losing our muscle mass, which means that our basal metabolic rates are going down over time. And I don't think many of us are like, oh, I've lost some muscle this year, so I better eat slightly smaller portions. So then you end up gaining weight, or your weight might stay the same, but your body is becoming a much less healthy composition. As you're losing muscle, you're replacing it with fat. Okay, so lots and lots of stuff going on there. So what do you need to do to start turning this around? And what did I do? I started really focusing on building muscle. In the past, I had also thought about, oh, I got to burn calories. So this was one of the big mindset shifts that I made, was that forget about burning calories. I don't even think about nowadays. It's so funny to think back on the days when I would actually look after one of my sessions and be like, oh yeah, I burned 500 calories. Yeah. This is a great workout. Nowadays, I don't even look at the calories. But so I started to really focus on building muscle. I didn't even look at my nutrition at that point, but building muscle. And what that means is that you need to consistently challenge every one of your muscle groups in your body twice a week. That's it, twice a week. That's why you hear them saying even 2 30-minute sessions a week is going to do a lot. It really, really will. But you want to challenge all your muscle groups with those 2 workouts. So you want to get your hands on a full body program that you can do in a reasonable amount of time. And of course, I have them to offer, my Learn to Lift program and my strength training membership. So Learn to Lift is for beginners who have maybe not lifted before and need a little bit more of the tips for beginners. And then if you have been lifting, and maybe you haven't just been lifting strategically or following any kind of plan, then my membership is good for you, because you'll start tracking and making sure that you're applying progressive overload and all things. And you'll start actually seeing results from the time that you're spending. But anyway, so that was my commercial break there. So I started consistent strength training. And it was really incredible because I had been going to these BodyPump classes and using the heaviest dumbbells that they had, which were these 5-kilo dumbbells. So that's about 12-pound dumbbells. And I've been, using those, and I was one of the only women who could actually use those. And I was feeling the burn, and oh my God, it was so hard when the set was over. My arms were like jello, all the things. Then I start progressive strength training, and nowadays I lift over twice that amount in my bicep curls. If I had continued in BodyPump, I would never be at this level, right? And it was when I started challenging my muscles that I finally started seeing my arm muscles again. And that was so rewarding for me. I got my toned arms back. I am a crazy lover of tank tops, summer, winter. I'm currently wearing a long sleeve shirt because it's a little cool today, but normally I'm in a tank top, and I love feeling confident in a tank top. So essentially the mistake that I had been making all those years with my 5 days a week, hard, sweaty classes was that I was exercising, and it was really cardio. It was endurance stuff, which is important as well. I don't want to discount that. I was definitely cardiovascularly, extremely physically fit, right? But I had been neglecting my muscles. And so my muscle mass, my lean muscle mass had declined over time. My strength had declined over time, and my power had declined over time. And those are things you really want to hold on to, not just to look great, because the looking great, yes, I agree, 100% huge motivator, and it feels great to feel good about how you look, but also the confidence to know that these muscles are going to help me stay independent as I age. They also help me to stay healthier. So the strength training is improving my bone density, keeping my joints happier. My arthritic knee and my old injury hip are doing way better now that I am strong, that I have the muscles to support those kind of weaknesses that I have. So the thing that moved the needle for me was I started to follow a structured strength training program rather than just exercising with weights. I learned about and started applying progressive overload. I was tracking everything that I did, and that's super important to make sure that you are progressing. I trained every muscle group twice a week, and I kept the same exercises in my program for at least 8 weeks because there's a huge difference between just exercising and then having a goal and working in a systematic way to get to that goal. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it does need to be done with intention. And the fun thing about this was that I didn't have to work out any more often than I had before. In fact, I'm working out less, but I'm doing it in a smarter way to get results. All right, so a quick checklist for you to see whether what you are doing is moving the needle or whether you really need to think about swapping out and doing something else. The first question to ask yourself is, are you doing the same things week after week with the same weights? I've had so many women who've joined my program. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I've been using this same 10-pound weight following this whatever YouTube program for ages and thinking that I would get some results. But no, if you're actually doing the same thing over and over again and not progressing, not increasing your weights or increasing reps or somehow making it harder for yourself over time, you've stopped asking your body to adapt. So you'll just stay at that level that you are now. Are you tracking what you lift? And I know I harp on this a lot, but it is really, really important. If you're not tracking, how do you know if you're progressing? How do you check that you're doing more than you did last month or last year? So it kind of goes hand in hand with that first question. Are you actually getting stronger? So are you able to lift more weights in those exercises than you did before? So for me, I was doing that BodyPump class forever with those 5-kilo weights. I was not getting stronger. I didn't get stronger until I started strength training for real. And by the way, you can start proper strength training at home with just dumbbells. And women ask me all the time, what size dumbbells should I have? So the truth is that start with what you have, but pretty soon you are going to need something else. So I just started with some dumbbells that I'd gotten from a friend years ago that had been gathering dust. And I started with those. And pretty soon, because I was doing this structured strength training, I had to get heavier dumbbells and then even heavier dumbbells. And nowadays, I lift such heavy weights that I don't even want to manage that big of weights at home. So I have moved to the gym where I can really work with heavy weights. So if you've been working out at home with dumbbells and you haven't had to buy more dumbbells, that is a sign that you are not doing proper strength training. Buy more dumbbells, invest in yourself. I'm not kidding. And I have a link in the show notes for some dumbbells that I recommend on Amazon that are adjustable, that go up in increments that are pretty good for women. Because some of them, are built for huge guys who can go up in bigger increments. But these have been pretty good. Okay, so to recap, the reason why your workouts have stopped working is not you. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that your body has changed. Your hormones have changed. You've lost muscle mass as you've aged. And now what you need to do is build more muscle on your body. And the best way to do that is with systematic, progressive strength training. If you have no idea what that would feel like and you want to give it a try, I do have a 10-day introduction to strength training that you can try out. I'll put the link in the show notes. And if you're like, yep, ready to get going, Lynn, I have my 10-week beginner program. Now that is a real strength training program. You can lift 2, 3, or 4 days a week at home or at the gym. You decide. And then for those of you who have been lifting weights on your own, maybe you've even been going into the weight room, but you don't have a program, you don't have structure, you don't know how to make sure that you're hitting all your muscles each week, I have my monthly membership, and that will give you exactly what you need to do. So you just show up and train, okay? And in both Learn to Lift and in the membership, you get me through the app. So you can chat with me one-on-one when you have questions, if you want me to check out your form on something, whatever, you have access to me. I would love to work with you. I am here because I had this crazy thing happen to me when I was 49, and I figured out how to fix it. And by fixing it, I also improved my health, my longevity, my health span, my independence as I age. And so I want that for you too. I would love to help you. If you have questions, please send them across. And otherwise, I will see you next week. Happy training.